Ever do the math on what you actually spent at a fast food drive-thru last month? Not a rough guess, the real number. Because if you're anything like the average American family in 2026, you're handing over close to $350 a month on meals that used to cost less than half that. And here's the part that should genuinely bother you. The food got worse. The portions got smaller, and the prices kept climbing, like they forgot what the word fast food was supposed to mean in the first place. What you're about to hear is a full breakdown of 15 fast food chains that are flat out overcharging you right now in 2026. Some of these names will feel obvious. Others are going to catch you completely off guard. And at least one of them, I promise, is a place you're still defending to your friends, even though deep down, you know the value just isn't there anymore. But let's be honest for a second. Most people will watch this, nod along, agree with every word, and then pull into the same drive-thru tomorrow morning without thinking twice. So here's the real question. Are you going to keep handing your money to companies that stopped earning it? Or are you finally going to pay attention to where your dollars are actually going? Let's get into it. Number 1. Dairy Queen. And I'm starting here because this one operates almost entirely on nostalgia, and that's exactly what makes it so effective at overcharging you. Back in 2010, a medium blizzard cost about $2.99. Today, that same cup runs roughly $5.79 or higher, depending on where you live. That's nearly double. And here's the extra insult. You're getting fewer candy mix-ins than you used to. Less stuff, higher price, classic formula. But the real betrayal goes beyond money. That smooth, creamy soft serve everyone remembers from childhood. It's not even considered ice cream anymore. The FDA won't allow Dairy Queen to legally call it that. They had to switch the label to something called frozen dairy dessert because actual ice cream requires more expensive ingredients. So now you're paying nearly twice as much for a product that technically can't be what it claims to be. If you were a fan of their hot dogs, sorry, most locations quietly dropped them altogether, just gone. Like the idea of affordable fast food itself. And the basket meals, that's where things cross into absurd territory. Chicken strip baskets now sit in the $10 to $12 range. That's sit-down restaurant pricing for food passed to you through a window. Except an actual restaurant at least gives you a plate and free refills. Quality control is a complete gamble too. One Dairy Queen will load your blizzard with toppings like they care about your experience. The next will hand you plain vanilla soft serve with 3 Oreo crumbs floating on top. Same price, totally different product. Even the dilly bar hasn't been spared. It's been shrunk twice, and the chocolate coating now tastes less like chocolate and more like it came out of a chemistry lab. Dairy Queen survives on memory, but memory doesn't justify a price tag that keeps climbing while everything else about the experience keeps shrinking. Number 2. Sonic Drive-In. And this one flies under the radar because people don't think of Sonic the same way they think of McDonald's or Burger King. But that's exactly how they get away with it. Sonic was built on a simple, nostalgic concept. Pull up, order from your car, enjoy a milkshake while the food comes to you. That retro charm still works on people emotionally, but the prices have completely abandoned the casual vibe. A basic double cheeseburger combo now runs close to $11 in most markets. Toss in one of their specialty shakes, and you're easily past $16 for a single person. For a drive-in, where you eat in your car, with no table service, no refills, and sometimes a 20-minute wait that makes you question whether anyone inside actually heard your order. And those famous drinks everyone loves, the slushes, the shakes, the flavored lemonades. They've gotten smaller while prices climbed higher. Happy hour used to be a legitimate reason to pull in. Half-price drinks all afternoon. Now it's been scaled back so aggressively that the deals barely move the needle. Sonic counts on the experience feeling different from a standard fast food joint. But different doesn't mean better when you're paying premium prices for average food delivered on a tray that clips to your car window. Number 3. Arby's. And let's be real about this one. Arby's has been coasting on that "we have the meats" slogan for years now. But the meats are getting more expensive while the sandwiches are quietly getting thinner. A classic roast beef sandwich, the thing Arby's was literally built on, used to be a quick, affordable meal. Now, you're looking at combo prices pushing $11 to $13 depending on your location, for deli meat on a bun. That's what it is when you strip away the marketing. Thinly sliced roast beef on a sesame seed bun. You could walk into almost any grocery store, grab a pound of quality deli roast beef, a pack of rolls, and some horsey sauce for the same price and feed 3 or 4 people instead of 1. And those curly fries that used to feel generous. Portions have gotten noticeably smaller while the price keeps drifting upward. A medium curly fry that once felt like a side dish now feels like a snack. except you're paying side dish money for it. Arby's wants you to believe you're eating above fast food, but when the math hits the counter, you're paying above fast food prices for food that sits squarely in the fast food category. The meats are there, sure, but the value left the building a long time ago. Number 4, Panda Express. And this one is going to ruffle some feathers because people are genuinely loyal to Panda Express, but loyalty doesn't change math. A standard plate, that's 1 entree and 2 sides, now costs around $9.50 to $11 depending on the location. Add a premium entree and you're looking at $13 or more for mall food court Chinese food served in a styrofoam container. Here's the part that really stings. The portions are visibly inconsistent. Order the orange chicken at one location and your plate is packed. Order it at another and you'd swear they counted the pieces. Customers have been documenting this on social media for years. Side-by-side photos that show wildly different amounts of food for the exact same price. And let's talk about what's actually in that orange chicken. It's battered, deep-fried, and drenched in a sauce that contains more sugar per serving than some candy bars. The health halo that comes with it being Chinese food makes people feel like they're making a reasonable choice. They're not. A single serving of orange chicken packs over 490 calories and more than 800 milligrams of sodium. That's before you even touch the fried rice. Meanwhile, any local Chinese restaurant within a 5-mile radius is serving larger portions of fresher food for the same price or less. And they'll actually give you real vegetables that weren't sitting under a heat lamp for 45 minutes. Number 5, Popeyes. And I already know some of you just tensed up, because people treat Popeyes like it's untouchable. But hear me out. That chicken sandwich that broke the internet back in 2019, it was $3.99 when it launched. In 2026, that same sandwich sits around $5.99 to $6.49 at most locations, and a combo meal with fries and a drink easily pushes past $12. The sandwich is good, nobody's arguing that. But $12 for a fried chicken sandwich, fries, and a fountain drink is not casual fast food money anymore. That's approaching sit-down lunch pricing. And the consistency problem at Popeyes is well documented. One location makes that sandwich perfectly. Crispy, juicy, exactly what the commercials promise. The next one hands you a dried-out patty that looks like it was fried during the morning shift and has been sitting in a warmer ever since. Wait times are another issue entirely. Popeyes drive-thrus are notorious for being slow. We're talking 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes during peak hours. At that point, you could have gone to an actual restaurant, ordered real food, and had it brought to your table on a plate. The chicken itself is also loaded with sodium. A single spicy chicken sandwich contains over 1,400 milligrams of sodium. That's more than half your recommended daily intake in one sandwich. Popeyes still makes great fried chicken, but great doesn't automatically mean worth it when the price keeps climbing and the experience keeps getting more frustrating. Number 6, Taco Bell. And this one genuinely hurts because Taco Bell used to be the undisputed champion of cheap food. You could walk in with $5 and walk out with enough tacos to question your life choices twice. Those glory days are completely gone. The beloved Crunchwrap Supreme, basically the flagship of the whole operation, has jumped from about $3.49 in 2019 to over $5.49 in 2026. Some locations are pushing past $6, and a combo meal now easily lands in the $11 to $13 range. For Taco Bell, let that sink in. Here's where it gets even more frustrating. The menu items that made Taco Bell legendary, the ones that built an army of late-night fans, keep getting axed. The Mexican pizza came back only after a massive public outcry. Items people loved for years just vanish overnight, replaced by limited-time gimmicks designed to create social media buzz instead of actual customer satisfaction. And the portions tell their own story. Those burritos that once felt like a two-handed commitment now unwrap into something that barely fills one palm. Former employees have openly talked about corporate pressure to use smaller tortillas, lighter scoops of meat, and less cheese. Same branding, same menu names, significantly less food. Taco Bell still runs late-night ads making everything look massive, loaded, and irresistible. Then you open the wrapper, and the reality looks nothing like the picture. The gap between the advertisement and the actual product has become a meme for a reason. Number 7. Wendy's. And this one really stings because Dave Thomas built this brand on a handshake promise. Fresh, never frozen beef, real quality, honest food. If he were around today, there's a strong chance he'd be furious at what his name is attached to. In 2024, Wendy's made headlines for testing surge pricing on burgers. Surge pricing, like your lunch is an Uber ride during a thunderstorm. More people want food at noon. Congratulations, your burger now costs more. From a business perspective, maybe it's clever. From a customer perspective, it's insulting. That junior bacon cheeseburger you used to grab for 99 cents all through the 2000s now rings up at $2.79 or higher. Same tiny sandwich, almost triple the price, and the fresh, never frozen promise that built the brand. A lot of locations now rely on pre-formed patties shipped from centralized facilities. The whole hand-pressed idea is mostly nostalgia-driven marketing at this point. Then there's the drive-thru. Back in 2015, the average wait was around 3.5 minutes. Today, it's pushing 7. I've had shorter waits at the DMV, and that's only a slight exaggeration. Even the Frosty has been hit. They've shrunk it twice since 2010. A small now costs $2.49. When those cups were actually bigger, they went for 99 cents. Wendy's used to feel like the fast food chain that tried harder. Now it feels like the one that's trying to see how much it can get away with. Number 8. Subway. And here's where things go from overpriced to outright bizarre. Subway built its entire empire on one clean, simple idea. Fresh, healthier sandwiches made right in front of your eyes. For a long time, that pitch worked beautifully. Then things started to unravel fast. That legendary $5 footlong, completely extinct. Today, that same sandwich runs anywhere from $11 to $14. In about 15 years, the price has nearly tripled. Your bank account definitely noticed even if you tried to pretend it didn't. But the cost hike isn't even the most troubling part. In 2023, a lawsuit made national headlines after independent lab testing on Subway's tuna sandwiches reportedly found zero detectable tuna DNA. None. Subway pushed back hard on the claim. But when scientists can't confirm there's fish in your fish sandwich, that's a massive red flag that doesn't just go away. Even the bread hasn't escaped controversy. After the company changed flour suppliers in 2018, customers started reporting a strange, chemical-like aftertaste. Not exactly the experience you want from something marketed as fresh baked. On top of that, employees now follow stricter portion rules. In plain language, that means fewer tomatoes, lighter lettuce, and pepper slices that look like they were measured with a ruler. The sandwiches just look depressing compared to what they used to be. Between 2016 and 2023, Subway closed roughly 5,000 U.S. locations. They went from being the largest restaurant chain in America to slipping to third place while Starbucks and McDonald's blew right past them. Somewhere along the way, the sandwich artist turned into a sandwich economist, and nobody seems thrilled about that career change.
Number 9. Burger King. And their old promise was, have it your way. Now it feels more like, have it however we feel like making it. The Whopper alone tells you everything you need to know. In 2005, that flame-grilled classic cost about $2.99. Fast forward to 2026, and you're paying over $7.29 for a sandwich that somehow feels lighter and smaller every time you unwrap it. And no, your hands didn't magically get bigger. Here's the real kicker. That famous flame-grilled flavor, at a lot of locations, it's essentially gone. Instead of grilling fresh patties to order, many stores now rely on pre-cooked meat that gets reheated on a conveyor system. So those higher prices, you're essentially paying extra for warmed-up patties and electricity. The cracks are showing everywhere. Burger King closed more than 400 locations in 2023 alone. Step into one that's still standing, and you'll often find grimy tables, soda machines that don't work, and restrooms that look like they haven't been cleaned since the Obama administration. Customer complaints about cold meals and incorrect orders surged by 67% between 2019 and 2023. Even the onion rings aren't what they used to be. The old crispy crunch is gone, replaced with a cheaper batter that chews like a rubber band, and the desperation is hard to miss. Their app is constantly pushing deals and discounts, which is basically an open admission that the regular menu prices don't make sense. When you need coupons just to make your prices feel reasonable, something has gone seriously wrong with the business model. Number 10. McDonald's. And this is the one that hits different, because almost everyone grew up on McDonald's. It wasn't just fast food, it was a cultural institution. Birthday parties in the play place, Happy Meals with toys you actually wanted, a Big Mac that felt like a reward for surviving the week. Those days are long gone. Back in 2014, a Big Mac combo cost about $5.69. Now, in most markets, you're staring at prices closer to $9.29 or higher. That's not normal inflation. That's a full-blown shakedown, fries included. And those fries, people who've been around a while will tell you they used to be legendary. There's a reason for that. Up until 1990, McDonald's cooked them in beef tallow, rich, flavorful, and genuinely addictive. Then the company switched to vegetable oil to cut costs. Production got cheaper. The taste took a serious hit. Your bill didn't go down a cent. But here's the part that really burns. In the early 2000s, the beef patties quietly slimmed down from 1.6 ounces to 1.1 ounces, so the burger got physically smaller while the price kept climbing. A textbook move that most customers never caught on to. That dollar menu everyone loved? Long gone. In its place is a so-called value menu, where most items now start around $3, some value. And a 2023 customer satisfaction survey ranked McDonald's dead last among major burger chains when it came to taste versus price. Dead last. The golden arches used to stand for cheap, reliable, comforting food. Now they represent sit-down restaurant prices for a meal slid to you through a drive-through window. McDonald's banking on the idea that you'll keep showing up out of habit. And for a lot of people, they're right. But habit doesn't change the fact that the math stopped making sense years ago.
Number 11. Panera Bread. And this one managed to turn a fresh bakery cafe concept into something that feels mass-produced and sterile. Panera used to be the go-to spot when you wanted to feel like you were making a healthier choice. Soup in a bread bowl, that warm bakery smell filling the air, free Wi-Fi and cozy chairs where you could camp out for hours without anyone rushing you. That version of Panera is basically gone. Back in 2015, a soup and sandwich combo cost around $8.99. Today, that same pairing sets you back about $16.49 or more. My grandmother would have called that highway robbery, and honestly, she wouldn't have been wrong. But the pricing is only part of the problem. Here's where it really goes downhill. Most locations no longer bake bread fresh on site. Instead, the loaves arrive frozen from centralized facilities and are simply finished in the store ovens. So now you're paying artisan-level prices for bread that's essentially reheated. Even the mac and cheese took a hit. Portions shrank by roughly 20%, while prices jumped by about 25%. And those bakery display cases that once overflowed with fresh pastries, these days, you're lucky to see 4 or 5 items, and most of them are pre-made and shipped in. Then there was the charged lemonade disaster. In 2024, Panera faced lawsuits after customers died from dangerously high caffeine levels in beverages that weren't properly labeled. That's not an exaggeration. People actually lost their lives over a drink. On top of all that, many locations have quietly removed comfortable seating and free Wi-Fi altogether. So at this point, it's a fair question. What exactly are you paying premium prices for? Because it's certainly not the experience anymore. Number 12. Chipotle. And the entire brand was built on one bold promise that everybody loved: fresh ingredients and generous portions. But that promise started unraveling in a very public way. In 2023, social media basically turned into a courtroom. Customers began filming their orders, recording portion sizes, weighing bowls side by side. And the results were brutal. The exact same chicken bowl could weigh anywhere from 8 ounces to 15 ounces, depending on who was holding the spoon. That's an 86% swing in food quantity for the same menu item at the exact same price. And that price isn't small. A chicken burrito bowl now averages around $11.50 or higher. Back in 2015, it was about $6.95, so you're paying nearly twice as much for a meal that might give you half the food, depending entirely on which employee happens to be working the line that day. Former employees didn't help Chipotle's case either. Many have claimed that managers pressured staff to skimp on portions, use smaller scoops, spread the rice thin, go light on the protein, hit strict portion targets, or face consequences. The generous portions concept quickly starts to feel more like marketing fiction than company policy. Then there's the food safety mess that haunted the brand for years. Between 2015 and 2018, Chipotle dealt with E. coli outbreaks, norovirus incidents, and salmonella scares across multiple states. Hundreds of people got sick. And suddenly, the whole fresh and clean angle didn't feel nearly as comforting. Customers also picked up on a sneaky pattern.
Order in person, and portions tend to be decent. Order through the app, and the bowls mysteriously shrink, almost like they don't expect you to compare. And the guacamole. It now costs an extra $3.25, and what you get often feels less like a serving and more like a polite smear. Chipotle is still riding the reputation of what it used to be, but the gap between the promise and the product is getting harder to ignore with every overpriced, half-filled bowl.
Number 13. Starbucks. And this is the brand that somehow convinced an entire generation to spend $8 on something their parents made at home for pocket change. Let that really land for a second. A basic grande latte now costs around $5.75, and that's before anyone starts customizing. Add oat milk, an extra espresso shot, a pump of vanilla, and suddenly you're staring down a $9 cup of coffee. Your grandparents would honestly assume you'd lost your grip on reality. Here's what most people never noticed. Back in 2019, Starbucks quietly switched to cheaper coffee bean suppliers. Baristas picked up on it almost immediately. The espresso tastes different now, and not in a bold, exciting new blend kind of way. Even the food took a hit. After 2020, the breakfast sandwiches got smaller, while prices climbed from about $3.95 to $5.75. More money, less egg. Classic play. But the real insult came with the atmosphere. Starbucks used to be a place where you could meet friends, read a book, or sit for hours without anyone bothering you. It was the third place, not home, not work, somewhere in between. Now, at many urban locations, the comfortable seating is gone. The lingering is discouraged. The message is clear. Drink fast, leave faster. And if you're not ordering through the mobile app, good luck. App users breeze past the line while everyone else stands there for 10 or 15 minutes, watching teenagers grab cotton candy frappuccinos ahead of them. So now you're paying $8 or $9 for rushed coffee you don't even get to sit down and enjoy. When you really break it down, a decent coffee maker costs about $30. A bag of quality ground coffee runs around $10 and makes roughly 100 cups. That's 10 cents per cup at home versus $5 to $9 at Starbucks. That's a markup that should make anyone pause. Starbucks is betting that morning brain fog and force of habit will keep you walking through those doors. And for millions of people, that bet is still paying off. But the value disappeared a long time ago. Number 14. Five Guys. And if we're talking about paying way too much for way too little, Five Guys takes that concept and pushes it to a place that's almost hard to believe. The whole brand was built on the idea that it wasn't really fast food. Premium burgers, fresh ingredients, hand-formed patties, and quality that supposedly justified the higher price tag. That was the pitch. Now let's talk about the actual check. A bacon cheeseburger, regular fries, and a drink will run you somewhere between $21 and $24. That is not an exaggeration. $24 for a meal with no table service, no real plates, no refills, and everything handed to you in a paper bag that usually leaks grease onto your car seat before you pull out of the parking lot. For that kind of money, you could walk into a sit-down restaurant, have a server take your order, eat on an actual plate, get unlimited drink refills, and still have change left over. Remember the free peanuts you used to snack on while waiting for your order? The one small touch that made the experience feel a little different, gone from many locations. That detail, the one thing that made a 15-minute wait feel charming instead of annoying, just quietly disappeared. And those famous fries everyone used to brag about, the ones that supposedly overflowed the bag. Employees now say they've been instructed to limit the extras. Corporate ran the numbers and decided generosity wasn't cost-effective. The beef story gets even stranger. Five Guys insists their patties are never frozen, but suppliers have confirmed that shipments arrive flash-chilled to near-frozen temperatures. Technically not frozen, but close enough that the distinction feels like a technicality rather than a promise. In fact, Five Guys is too expensive, literally trended as a topic on social media. When your pricing becomes a meme, something is clearly broken. Five Guys still makes a decent burger. Nobody is denying that. But a decent burger doesn't justify a $24 meal that comes in a bag and has you eating in your driver's seat.
Number 15. Chick-fil-A. And I already know this one is going to make some people uncomfortable, because Chick-fil-A has built one of the most loyal followings in the entire fast food industry. The lines wrap around buildings. People plan their schedules around it. The brand has a near religious devotion that makes it almost untouchable in public conversation. But loyalty doesn't change math. And when you actually run the numbers, the picture shifts. A basic Chick-fil-A sandwich combo, sandwich, fries, and a drink, now costs roughly $10 to $12 depending on your market. Back in 2015, that same combo ran about $6.55. That's close to a 70% price increase in about a decade for a fried chicken sandwich on a buttered bun. Let me put it another way. You're now paying steakhouse appetizer prices for a fast food chicken sandwich, and everyone just accepts it because the service is polite and they say, "My pleasure," after handing you a bag. Here's the part nobody wants to talk about. That chicken sandwich, the one people lose their minds over, contains around 1,400 milligrams of sodium and over 440 calories. Add the waffle fries and a lemonade, and you're easily past 1,200 calories and closing in on a full day's worth of sodium in a single meal. The health halo that comes from Chick-fil-A being perceived as a cleaner, better fast food option doesn't hold up under actual scrutiny. And the portions have followed the same industry trend. Those waffle fries used to feel like a generous side. Now, a medium feels noticeably lighter than it did 5 years ago. Same red and white packaging, same smile at the window, less food in the bag. Chick-fil-A has earned its reputation for consistency and customer service. That's real, but consistency and courtesy don't justify charging $12 for a fried chicken sandwich meal that cost the company a fraction of that to produce. The experience is pleasant, the food is reliable, but at these prices, pleasant and reliable aren't enough to call it a good deal. They're enough to call it a well-run business that's very, very good at getting you to overpay without feeling like you did. And that's the uncomfortable truth about fast food in 2026. 15 chains, all household names, all charging more than ever while delivering less than they used to. The burgers got smaller, the portions shrank, the ingredients got cheaper, the prices went in the opposite direction. And most people never stopped to question it because the logos were familiar and the habits were automatic. Here's what that means for you, especially if you're trying to stretch a paycheck, feed a family, or just stop watching your money disappear every week on meals that aren't worth what they charge. Stop eating on autopilot. Run the numbers on what you actually spend at these places over a month. Then ask yourself one simple question. If I spent this same amount at a grocery store, how much better would my family eat? Because the answer will hit you like a truck. These chains didn't raise prices because the food got better. They raised prices because they're betting you won't do the math. They're counting on convenience, habit, and brand loyalty to keep you pulling into that drive-thru without thinking twice. Don't give them the win. And if this video changed the way you look at your next fast food run, do me a quick favor. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're here to protect your wallet and your health. No fluff, just the truth nobody else is saying. See you in the next one.